You know, it was one of those crisp Montana mornings where the air still bites a little, and I'd just poured myself a steaming mug of black coffee, standing out by the old barn watching the fog lift off the hills behind my place. When I spotted them, three guys in bright orange vests, hauling gear like they were staking out a gold mine on my own damn 15 acres. At first, I thought maybe they were lost utility workers, but no. They were right in the middle of my upper pasture, setting up tripods and lasers, chatting about elevation points and expansion grids like it was their backyard barbecue. I marched up there, coffee sloshing in my hand, heart pounding not from the climb, but from that gut twist of violation. You work your ass off to buy a slice of peace, pay cash from years of sweat and saving, and suddenly strangers are redrawing your world without so much as a howdy. I got close enough to see the logo on their vests, Summit Surveys, and the big fella, red-faced and burly, looked up like I'd interrupted his nap. "Morning," I said, keeping it even. "But mind explaining what you're doing tromping around my land like it's public park?" He blinked, wiped sweat from his brow, and goes, "We're prepping topo maps for the Sunny Ridge Community HOA expansion. New rec center, trails, the works. Got the green light from their board." I almost choked on my coffee. Sunny Ridge? That gated suburb down the road, full of McMansions and folks who think a weed whacker is heavy lifting? "This ain't their turf," I shot back, feeling that cold fury bubble up, the kind that reminds you why you left the city grind behind. The younger one piped in, waving a clipboard. "Sir, according to the rezoned plats, this ridge is earmarked for community access. Your cabin's right in the path of the proposed walkway." He tapped the map like it was gospel, but I knew my boundaries like the veins on my hands. I'd surveyed them myself 6 years back, right after buying from the old Thompson ranchers, family friends who'd held it for generations. Something snapped in me. Not rage exactly, more like that quiet resolve you get when someone's trying to steal your roots. And I told them flat out, "You've got about a minute to pack up and get, or we're calling this trespassing with a side of buckshot." They scattered like spooked deer, one dropping his tablet in the dirt, engines revving as their trucks bounced off toward the main road. But the burly guy paused, leaned out his window with a look that said he pitied me, and muttered, "Check your county records, buddy. This came from higher up. They're moving fast." I stood there, mug gone cold, watching dust settle, thinking how my late mom's vegetable garden, the one I'd kept alive in her memory, was now just inches from their boot prints. That land wasn't just dirt. It was my sanctuary after tours overseas, a place to breathe without the world's noise. And now some HOA busybodies thought they could claim it for a fancy playground? Hell no. By midday, I was storming into the county clerk's office in downtown Billings, gripping my steering wheel like it owed me money, replaying that map in my head, the one that sliced my property like a pie. The clerk, a tired-looking gal named Betty, pulled up my file, and her face went pale. "Mr. Harlan, there's a provisional hold on your deed. Sunny Ridge filed a challenge saying your parcel was accidentally left out of their 2012 development reserve." Provisional hold? It hit me like a gut punch. These folks weren't just mistaken. This was calculated, probably driven by Laura Kensington, the HOA queen bee I'd heard whispers about, the type who golfs with judges and turns neighborhood squabbles into power plays. Turns out, Laura had been eyeing adjacent lands to boost property values, make her little empire shine brighter, all while folks like me got labeled holdouts for daring to live free. The clerk printed me the docs, but warned, "This could take weeks to sort. Escalate if you want, but they're connected." I drove home fuming, only to find my mailbox pried open, papers scattered, bills, junk, and my old tax assessments torn like confetti. No coincidence. Someone was digging for leverage, maybe to bury my proofs. I beefed up security that afternoon. New cams, reinforced gates. Even parked my rifle in plain sight on the ATV up the hill, a silent, "Try me." But the real kick came 2 days later when my neighbor Sally called, voice shaky. "Mike, there's a dozer chewing up your east fence." I floored at home, pulling up to see that yellow beast ripping through my berry patch, workers in hard hats yelling orders like conquerors. I grabbed my old service pistol from the safe, tired of words, ready for standoff. But before I could step out, sirens wailed, 2 deputy cruisers skidding in. "Drop it, Harlan," barked Deputy Ruiz, hand on his holster. "We got calls of threats to legit crew." "Legit?" I laughed bitter. "They're vandalizing my land." But Ruiz, a guy I'd shared beers with at the VFW, sighed. "HOA showed papers. Temporary rights till court says otherwise. File it legal, Mike. Don't make this worse." It burned, watching them crush Mom's old plum tree, roots dangling like broken promises, while I stood powerless, deputies eyeing me like the criminal. But I filmed it all with my drone, timestamps locking in the destruction, and shot it to my lawyer, Ethan, a sharp ex-Marine who'd handled vets' claims before. By evening, he'd slapped an emergency stop order on them, citing blatant overreach. Still, that night, as I nursed a beer on the porch, stars mocking the quiet, I caught a shadow on the cams, a figure slipping into my tool shed. My dog Buster growled low, and I bolted out, pistol ready. But the intruder bolted over the fence, hoodie flapping, leaving pry marks on my file cabinet where deeds and maps were rifled. Nothing taken. Just chaos to spook me. Called the sheriff, but they shrugged it off as kids, though I knew better. Laura's crew, erasing trails. Then came the email. No subject, just an address for a strip mall office and, "Come alone, I'm on your side." Risky, but desperation won. I tucked my Glock and drove, meeting Lisa Tate, a jittery paralegal from Laura's firm. She whispered, hands trembling. Laura faked it all. The rezoning flags, forged transfers using your old signatures scanned from escrow. She's obsessed with expanding. Says it'll double home values, line her pockets with developer kickbacks, and screw the redneck outsiders like you. Lisa slid me a USB. Emails, recordings of Laura cackling. Once the dozer hits, he'll fold like cheap lawn furniture. Why help? She's threatened my job, my rep. I got kids, but I can't stomach theft. That drive was gold. Ethan and I dissected it, building a case like a fortress. We hit back hard, sued Sunny Ridge, Laura personally, and Summit for fraud, trespass, the works, over 400 pages of damning proof. But knowing courts drag, I leaked it to a land rights podcast my buddy runs, Montana Vet Battles HOA Land Grab. And it exploded online, folks sharing their own horror stories. A widow in Bozeman whose driveway got annexed for parking. A farmer near Helena fighting fake easements. Support poured in, even from inside Sunny Ridge. Robert Ellis, a retired engineer on their board, showed up at my door one evening, hat in hand, admitting, "I trusted Laura too long. She buried shady clauses in budgets, claimed it was routine to snag undeveloped lots like yours for the greater good. But this? It's greed. Her husband's in real estate, stands to profit big." He handed over memos proving the plot dated back years and testified later, voice cracking, "We were complicit in robbery." The hearing was electric. The courtroom hummed like a hive, reporters scribbling as Ethan laid it bare, my clean deed versus their forgeries. Lisa took the stand first, steady despite Laura's glare detailing the fakes. She said, "By the time he sues, the trails will be paved." Robert followed, owning his blindness. "I signed blindly, thinking it helped the community, not stole from neighbors." Our expert shredded their deed, pointing to digital ghosts, manipulated pixels, backdated stamps, classic fraud. Then the drone vid played, dozer tearing fence while I pleaded, deputies shrugging. Laura whispered furiously to her lawyer, face ashen, but the judge, a no-nonsense vet herself, slammed it down. Claims void, permits yanked, $4.1 million to Mr. Harlan for damages and pain. Criminal charges pending for Miss Kensington. Walking out, sunlight hitting like victory. I felt that weight lift. Land secure, justice served. Laura got 12 years after pleading to fraud, her empire crumbling as the HOA voted to disband under Robert's lead, folks realizing her improvements masked control freakery. I rebuilt stronger. New iron gates etched with "private, back off," replanted the plum tree, even started a small fund for HOA victims with my winnings. Lisa launched her own firm fighting these bullies, and I left her a glowing review. Saved my sanity, didn't need bail. A plus. But here's the thing that still nags. Was I too quick with the gun threats? Or was that the only language they understood? In a world where paper pushers steal with pens, does standing armed make you the hero or the hothead? I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment below. Ever battled an HOA Goliath? Think justice always wins, or is the system rigged? Share your stories. Hit like if this fired you up, and subscribe for more real talk tales. Let's keep the conversation going.